Now, anything? Ah, there we go. Thank you so much, Garrett, for your lowly assistance. I appreciate it. Um, nice to see you here, by the way, G Money. Always glad to have you here. This is going to be a very different live, and I'm not going to wait for people now that I know I am being read loud and clear. And for the record, this is Fruit Punch. I'd like to address, before I go into what I've prepared for today, by addressing the recent kerfuffle between myself and Simon Dan. Um, so I deleted last week's live. Last week's live was a little bit of a disaster for me. Not that I wasn't right about a lot of things that I said, but there was something I said that actually wasn't right, and that's why I deleted the whole thing. And I'd like to say this directly. This video is directly, specifically made for Simon Dan. And Dan, I, if you're listening, and I know you are, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to you for calling you a psychopath. That was over the line. It was unnecessary and it's factually inaccurate. I was upset and that was a bad day for me. Um, and not that that's an excuse, it's not. But it's to give you context that I was actually kind of grieving about something. And I think I was processing it through anger, and some of it got taken out on you, which is not your fault. However, I have a lot of actual real gripes with Simon Dan, but regardless of the fact that he gaslights me, he doxes me, he tries to paint me as a person who is delusional or this or that because of his creative editing skills and his cherry picking of words or statements, then, does he owe me an apology? He owes me like seven. Never received a single one. Um, and, but I have to live with my conscience, not his. Um, and I'd like to reiterate for the record, he is not a psychopath. But you are an opportunist. I mean, you're an opportunist. You sell fake titles and bad cereal and Raycon earbuds, and you'll sell anything to anyone. And you do it by contributing really very little to the world of science, and you appeal to the lowest common denominator of human intellect, which is why you're so successful. Um, but uh, that aside, I actually have spent a lot of time writing since then, and I have 21 pages of notes that I need to get through. So I want to do this. Now, the way that I'm setting this up and the way that I'm making this video is that I am creating a video for Dan to respond to. That is the entire purpose of this live stream, is to talk with you guys, talk to anybody else who's a skeptic or whatever if they want to bring their arguments. But generally, what I'm doing is I have written 21 pages of things to challenge what Simon Dan has said about UFOs and about alien abductions. And I'm going to give them all to you. And I'm going to do it very calmly. I'm going to do it without any ad hominem attacks, no cursing, none of that. Just facts. And believe me when I tell you, the facts are pretty savage on their own. They really don't need any dressing. Yeah. Um, oh well, thank you. I'm, you know, give me a like for being the bigger man, I guess, but um, I'm usually not. I'm gonna be real about that, but I said, if this is a person who, and by the way, he said in his video that he would be happy. Hi, Chris. Hey, there you are. It's nice to see you. Guess what? You're a moderator now. You've been promoted. Okay. And drop me a like when you come in, guys. Really appreciate it. Um, but yeah, he's kind of taken things really, he's done some very bad things, dishonest things. But I have to live with myself, you know? And if a person, he said he'd be happy to talk to me about UFOs, and then when I email him about it, he won't respond. His own subscribers were like, hey, he said, he would debate you, so debate. And I'm like, you're talking to the wrong person. Like, why are you talking to me? I'm over here in his comment section, which, by the way, I turned into a bloodbath, but that's for another day. The point is, I crossed a line. Some of his subscribers mentioned this. I had to reluctantly agree because I care about the facts more than about my ego. I care about the facts more than I care about what someone else has done. If I did wrong by someone, then I have to say so. I have to do something about it. And I tried to apologize in the best way that I could. I have not heard back from him. I honestly don't care if I ever do. That's not my issue. Um, he can communicate with me through reacting to my videos since he likes to react to them so much. I'm making this video specifically for him to react to. And sorry, Dan, I know that you think that my videos are boring or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't get that. I'm boring. Dude, I have circus lights and I wear sunglasses indoors and I'm wild. I do impressions. I'm boring. Bro, you're like if the color beige was a person. Boring. Like uh, an English person calling me boring. The guy with the wild tattoos and the cool shirts and the catchphrases and making you laugh. I'm the boring one. I get it. Okay. But anyway, uh, so we're going to go ahead and get into this a little bit. And I will try to leave gaps, Dan, for you to like pause the video so you can clip it if you want to use what I say and then respond to it. But here's the thing about that: show the entirety of the statement. No creative editing like you did last time and the time before. Oh, wow. I'm starting to become a regular on your channel. That's cute. Um, but show the full statement because if you don't, I'm going to, and then you lose all credibility. Speaking of credibility, if I have no credibility because I don't have what you want as proof, and so my claims are not valid, then how can someone like Neil Tyson be considered credible when he wrote a book about what to do about something that you guys don't even believe happens? Isn't that a fantasy book? Not a science book? A scam book, maybe? What is that? What's that term for it? Oh yeah, a shameless cash grab. And I also want to say, in response to your viewers, Simon and Dan, for those who call me a grifter, that you are the one who sells fake titles and you sell like fake land deeds and you sell gross cereal and Raycon earbuds. You sell merch. You have a book club where you sell other people's books, and I just sell my books that I wrote myself, that contain information. I believe value for value. That you don't need another coffee mug, but what you do need is like real information from someone who's been in the trenches. So that's what I offer. So if your subscribers, your viewers, if they think that I'm a grifter, then what does that make you? Just a question, food for thought. But as far as skepticism is concerned, a real scientist would be so fair as to help someone who genuinely believes they have been through kidnapping, assault, and trauma to help them make their case, right? I mean, isn't that what detectives do, investigators do? Like a person claims that they've been assaulted in some way, and they go look for the evidence, right? I mean, they even did that for Leo DiCaprio in Shutter Island, right? I mean, am I not better than Leo DiCaprio? But to say science says this or science says that, how is science a credible source of determination when they don't have the science to study the science that is more advanced than their own science? Like, what are you talking about? You know? And I think that one of the things that science isn't admitting to itself or to us, honestly, is science is made for static, passive, natural phenomena, right? We study um, geography, like the uh, geology of the planet. We study weather patterns, meteorology, um, anomalous waves in the ocean. We have things that these things act on their own independently without thought. They are passive and static. But what we're dealing with is something that's artificial, advanced, and also uncooperative. Does that matter? Like when you are studying something that is advanced and uncooperative, doesn't that seem like that would take a different kind of science for you? You know? Um, and science wants to try to make this fit into their box when this is something that is outside the box of science. It really is. Um, and the fact that our science is not prepared to study this is prima facie evidence for me that it isn't us. That what we're seeing, it's not us, or else we would know how to study it. We would be able to prove it. But that's really of minor consequence at this point. We have much bigger fish to fry. Um, and this is something, though, I want to make clear that this is the first of its kind in science. Science has never studied anything like this before. And so, of course, we can't prove it because no framework has been officially established, not because there's no way to prove it and not because it doesn't happen. The onus here belongs on the scientific community, on scientists and investigators. And criticizing an abductee for not providing the proper evidence is placing the burden of evidence on and evidence collection on top of that on the wrong party. The onus belongs to you in the science world, not on the victims. I mean, and I'm not trying to be like brutal here or anything, but are you going to make a grape victim do her own rape kit? Does she have to drag her own assaulter in by the ear before you believe her? Like, that's a wild place to be coming from when people are not reporting, oh, like Dolly Saffron, that, oh, they let me go fly the UFO around. But these these beings took me and they hurt me and they put me back. And I'm telling you, because uh, alien abduction victims are people who are reaching out for help, for resources, for um, you know, some type of help in dealing with the ontological shock and assault that they've endured. And what we get is mockery, ridicule, cruelty, and we get dismissal by the scientific community when what they should be doing is trying to see what's really at the heart of what's going on. But they don't. And the victim has to prove that the crime happened is just the weirdest thing. And this is the only subject in which they behave this way on. It's the only one. Have you noticed that? And if the victim doesn't have a picture of the assailant in a crime, what do? They get a sketch artist to do a render based on the victim's recollection. They are willing to say the victim's recollection is trustworthy enough that we can have her describe the guy to a sketch artist, and he's going to get close enough that this person can be identified from one person's description. But in the scientific world, all the witnesses in the world are flawed, right? And am I the only one connecting the dots here? I mean, in short, if we can't prove that this is happening to us, and it really is happening, then it is not the fault of the victims. It is not the fault of our lack of due diligence in the scientific area. It's the fault of science itself that isn't willing to redress itself and make the necessary adjustments to make proving abductions possible in some way. And this is a lack of creativity. This is a lack of a willingness to accept the phenomenon, will require science to become uncomfortable. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to change the rules of science. Now, see, that's not true. What I'm saying is that you are applying the rules incorrectly. And you know why I know that? Because you keep coming to the wrong answer. I already know the answer on this test. And you keep arriving at the wrong one. And this is what I meant when I said that I was reverse engineering science. I never questioned science about UFO abductions. I kind of secretly thought, I'm pretty sure it's probably happening. But then when it happened to me, I had no doubt about it. And now I have to say, how does science keep coming to the wrong conclusion? Because it's real, because I experienced it myself. And so I started backtracking through the process. And what I found is they don't have standards. They don't define evidence. They don't tell you how to collect evidence. They don't tell you where to send the evidence and what they're going to do with the evidence. We're being trolled by science, who simply wants to be resistant to the fact that something is happening that they are unable to use their current scientific model to detect or to prove beyond what science would call the threshold or the barrier. And that's because the evidentiary standards are unscientific and unfair and illogical at that. And okay, they're grasping at straws when your astrophysicists like Michio Kaku, like Neil Tyson, are saying, look, just steal something off the ship. Like, how desperate do you have to be for an astrophysicist to say this on live television? And also, I want you to notice, I want Simon Dan also for you to specifically address Michio Kaku's and Neil Tyson's recommendation to steal something off of the alien spacecraft and put it in your pocket. Because wouldn't you agree with me that that's a bad idea for about 3,000 different reasons? And also, I noticed that Neil didn't put that advice in his book after I chided him for it severely. So don't sit here and tell me how science has all the answers. They have no answers. They're actually desperate. And they're so desperate that they're willing to tell abductees who are already enduring ontological shock and trauma to up the ante, to incite a potential irreversible situation by sticking objects or technology of unknown origin or potential in their pocket on their person. These are your smart people, and that scares me to no end. But if you asked any of these modern astrobiologists, astrophysicists, institutional scientists in general, if you ask them, does alien life exist in the universe? They will tell you, they'll confidently tell you, yes, of course, it must exist. Absolutely. And they'll talk about the billions of galaxies, the trillions of planets, and tell you that statistically, life must be out there. But here's the catch. Here's the catch to that, right? And Dan, I'm saying this because I heard you say it. Well, I believe that there is life out there in the universe somewhere. You have zero physical evidence for that belief. Isn't that cute? The person who says that your beliefs don't matter, your opinions don't matter, your evidence isn't evidence, and your stories are anecdotes, will be the first ones to tell you how they believe that alien life exists somewhere out there in the universe, even though these people haven't found so much as a microbe out there floating around. but they can say very confidently that with no evidence whatsoever that it must exist. They believe life is out there. And remember, I posted like science is a liar. Sometimes you must go watch that clip because that's what I'm doing right now is I'm tearing it apart. Science is a liar sometimes. They believe life is out there based purely on a leap of, dare I say it, faith. Hmm? And that faith is enough for them to fund SETI. It is enough for them to build billion-dollar telescope after billion-dollar telescope. It is enough for them to make the ARROW, the All Anomaly Resolution Office. Uh, and so, based on that faith, with zero evidence whatsoever, according to these scientists, but they are throwing billions of our dollars at it, though. Abductions, man. Come on. Like they will admit that there is life somewhere out there in the universe, but when you tell them it's here, that's when they lose it, right? They'll believe it's out there with no evidence, but they won't believe it's here with evidence. Simon and Dan, make that make sense. Okay? Now, that's a double standard. That's what we call a double standard. Um, and before I even go any further into this, and by the way, I'm glad I'm doing this and I'm glad to see everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you for dropping your likes and for your participation. I'll try to get through some comments as I'm going. I have a lot to say. Okay. But your likes, your views, your comments are all appreciated. And often I come back after the live and I read everyone's comments afterward, so your voice gets heard. I just don't always have time to respond because this is not about me and you right now. This is about me and Dan. And so I'm trying to stay focused on that. But I want you to be here to hear what I have to say because it's important. Okay. And so thank you. But I want to say before we go any further into the nuances of the data and all that, we need to kind of address a fundamental question that I have, and I think a lot of people have, who are in this topic as your opponent, Dan. Sorry, got a little dry there. My question, I guess, is who are you to even debate the topic? And I don't mean this as an ad hominem. This is not an attack. This is straight up, let's look at the facts. Okay? You do not hold a degree in science or physics, as far as I know. I saw in an interview where you said you had went to school for a while for physics and astronomy. And since you don't appear to have a degree of any kind in either of those subjects, you either dropped out or you flunked out. But either way, you don't have the education. You have no education, and then you also have no experience with the phenomenon. So you have no education, you have no experience, and then to top it all off, based on your videos and the erroneous statements that you make so confidently, that you haven't even begun to do basic field research or read the reports or the literature or look at the case evidence, which has been compiled in voluminous supply over the past 80 years. And what I find to be so damning of your side of things is that, Dan, you love to wrap yourself in the flag of scientific skepticism to give yourself unearned authority. But I think it's important to be entirely accurate about what a real skeptic is. A true scientific skeptic is an educated person who is resistant to an idea through deep knowledge of the subject matter. They look at the data, they understand the evidence, and they question it based on rigorous, what we call counter analysis. You aren't doing that. You are not a skeptic. You are a cynic. There is a massive difference. A cynic doesn't look at the data. You haven't looked at the data. A cynic rejects the data by default because it makes them uncomfortable. That's you. You are standing there repeating 30-year-old, worn out talking points that independent researchers and government agencies long ago proved to be completely flawed. And you are doing it because those scripts are all you have. I know right off the bat that I'm not debating you. I am debating you. I am debating Culture Cats. I am debating ChatGPT. I am debating Claude. I am debating maybe Grok. Who knows with you? But I know that when you hit a wall, you kind of reach out for help. So I know that the playing field isn't level. It is slanted against me. And I still think that you're going to have some trouble answering these tough questions because all I've heard you do is repeat arguments that other people have made, just like your flat earth video. You copy and paste, copy and paste. And what I'd like to know is, do you have any thoughts of your own on this matter? I don't see what they would be because you don't hold a degree in any scientific discipline. You don't have any experience with being abducted or witnessing UFOs or ontological shock or trauma. You've never pored over the data yourself and looked at the abduction reports, carefully scrutinized the videos with a scientific threshold of evidence. All you do is you're an entertainer. You're not a scientist, and yet you want to pretend to be by trying to debate someone who is a scientist. I may not have a degree, but I've also submitted my first white paper, which was read by Avi Loeb himself, and he responded to me within an hour and congratulated me on my correction of the Poisson equation. You did get my paper right. I sent it to you. I produce scientific work. Okay? You don't produce scientific work. Your videos are up. Your level of expertise is the earth is round. 5th grade. These things are above your pay grade. And since you don't have experience, you don't have education, and you've never investigated the data to any appreciable degree, what standing do you have to even talk to me about this? How is it that you feel entitled, that you have a position which is so ironclad that you feel that you have the standing, even though you have none of the requirements, to publish your very overconfident and erroneous opinion to 670,000 people at once? That you feel no responsibility to educate yourself, that you have no responsibility to investigate the data beyond the most minimal surface level. And so, therefore, this is why you are going to be wrong about practically everything you say. And I want to make it clear that I know everything you're going to say already. So, one of the things that you do is you say, well, this could be, what is it you say? Sleep paralysis and all those things, that if you woke up after having an abduction experience, I can't swear you said this, so I'm not going to accuse, but I believe it was something along the lines of you would check yourself into a sleep clinic or a neurology, get an appointment with a neurologist or something. And how tragic is that when you experience something that is outside of your normal beige existence, you start to doubt your own sanity. That is scientific and institutional gaslighting at a level that is tragic to behold. And I'd like to address the accusations of it's just a dream. There is no scientific evidence to support that. All the people who said that I'm not a doctor when I called Dan a psychopath are the same people to tell me, oh, I just experienced vivid dreams. You're not a doctor. Remember? If I have to take back that Dan's a psychopath because I'm not a medical professional and qualified to make those statements, then you're not qualified to say that they're dreams. Do you see the hypocrisy that is constantly a part of this particular um, phenomenon? And also, I'd also like to point this out. If it's true that these are delusions, okay, uh, then why isn't this being published in the Journal of American Medicine? Why isn't this being published in Psychology Today? That there is this phenomenon that has swept the world where apparently all of these people are dreaming the exact same dream under the exact same circumstances with the exact same corroborating points over and over again. Why isn't this an emergency, a pandemic of psychological delusion? Why isn't this? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because it's a lie. That's why. It is a convenient excuse, but there's no evidence for that. Personally, I have looked into sleep paralysis just to be able to say, oh, could I? Sleep paralysis occurs while you're laying in bed. You are awake in bed, unable to move. Um, some people can open their eyes and look around, and sometimes they talk about having a presence, feeling a presence in the room with them. That is not my experience at all. And so, because you don't know my experience, because you've never taken the time to read my book or watch my videos or ask me the first question about my experience, well, then you're going to say that because you have no choice but to either gaslight or validate. And we both know which one you're going to do. So, um, I just think that if you have all of these people, completely unrelated individuals across generations, continents, and cultures, all spontaneously experiencing the same hyper realistic, highly structured, waking hallucination of non human entities, why isn't the medical establishment sounding the alarm? If this is all a trick of the human brain, you are describing a pandemic level neurological crisis. Yet, no such crisis exists. So it seems as though lie. And not just a lie, but man, it's like you've gone from first you get science wrong and now you're getting medicine wrong. Like, man, you know, and it seems like there when it comes to gaslighting, there is no bottom to what these people will say or do, no matter how hypocritical, even on its face, no matter how obviously hypocritical, they will throw it at you. And everything that you have said that I'm aware of up to this point has been nothing but a paper tiger. Oh, no, I put my finger right there. There's nothing there. You sell nothing burgers to people. And because you do it in a soft voice and with what sounds like an intelligent accent, then people swallow that stuff. Where I might be coarse, I'm the Gust Avocados of the UFO community. But what I say is real, and what I say pushes you into a corner. And you know it. And I think that's all you know, to be honest, because like I said, you don't have a degree, you don't have any investigation, and you don't have any experience. What are you basing this on besides a 3 a.m. chat with ChatGPT? What are you going to do besides just repeat what Professor Dave says ad nauseum? Whatever Mick West tells you, you just believe. You're one of the sheep trying to act like the shepherd. Sit down. Okay? Um, and then I want to talk about the all witnesses are flawed. All witnesses are flawed, even though in no other way are people treated like this when it comes to um, any other phenomenon that people report. If someone says that they saw something uh, prosaic or more easily believable, well, oh yeah, no problem. But the minute someone says, I saw something that you don't see every day, yeah, then all of a sudden the guard goes up. What do you mean? I already know everything. You can't have seen anything I don't know about, right? And the ego comes into play. But to dismiss the entire phenomenon, this is my point about saying all witnesses are flawed. Um, for you to be right, Dan, you have to be right 100% of the time. That every witness has to be delusional, lying, saw, you know, uh, visions, or they took too many mushrooms, or whatever. You have to be right 100% of the time with your theory. On my side, only one of us has to have been really abducted for this to be true and to shatter your argument. And I'm that one. I can assure you I am that one. Now, I do want to say I had something I wanted to give Dan credit for. And I mean this sincerely, despite my normal criticism, uh, that he said, and this, I was like, you know what? He kind of extended a bit of an olive branch to me, and I'm going to accept it because the one thing he did say was, I don't know if it happened, but I believe that he believes it. I give off all the hallmarks of someone who is, of course, telling the truth because I'm telling the truth. And even Simon Dan, the one who says it doesn't even happen, and he's like, that dude believes what he is saying. I stand by it. I stand by it so much that I was willing to debate with him, and I sent him a letter, which I put in the community section in a post that you can all read. And I said, I don't want any money for this debate if we have it on your channel. You can have it all. I'm not here for that. And I mean it. I reject sponsors. I don't pitch products. I take not a single dime from anyone. You can buy my books if you want to support me, but all the information that you would buy in the book, I already give you for free on the channel. No grift. I've taken away every way that you can say that, but I don't think that Dan can say that. And I think that he's kind of being a bit of, Dan, I think you're being a little bit of a poser by thinking that you know more. Okay. You're a science school dropout or flunk out. I don't know, but you obviously didn't finish school. So you're a person who thinks that you know science better than a person who just published their first physics paper on gravity and can talk physics fluently with Professor Avi Loeb. You think that you know more than a person who has written two bestsellers on the subject, who is an actual experiencer, has a Mensa level IQ, and is known for not playing games. And even you believe I believe what I'm saying. What I'm wondering is, why aren't I the expert that you're consulting for this debate? I would be the person you would consult for this debate if you could, because I, and not to mention the fact that not only am I an experiencer, I have an incredibly high IQ, and I'm gifted in the department of physics and deductive reasoning and pattern recognition and communication. In those four areas in the world, I'm untestable by modern standards. These are the things that you need to be a successful investigator. And not just that, but you have to not be lazy. Like, you have to not be lazy. And I'm not lazy, because what I've done is, in addition to documenting uh, diligently my own abductions, experiences, and sightings, I've also read the MUFON files. I have been online. I was a MUFON field investigator for a while. I have read a lot of their case files. I have read online. I've spoken with actual other abductees and abduction survivors, experiencers, and contactees. And so I have also collected evidence, and I have also analyzed evidence using scientific standards. You don't seem to be capable of doing any of those things. So I'm like, what are you? You're not giving us your thoughts. You're giving us someone else's thoughts through your mouth. You're kind of a puppet in that way. Um, and but to say that all witnesses are not credible or unreliable, well, then what you're really saying is that everyone else in the world is delusional but you. It is a very arrogant and unscientific place to come from. Now, I liken this to what I call the vampire uh, the vampire talk is, and this is in my book, um, um, why Neil deGrasse Tyson is wrong about UFOs, cosmic blind spot, is, they talk about they're waiting on government disclosure, that you need the government to tell you where babies come from. The same government that has lied to you repeatedly, that has done horrible things to its own population, uh, that is constantly failing audits and is as untrustworthy as can be, you want them to tell you the truth. Right. So, what is going to change things is open disclosure, I think. But let's talk about the lack of physical evidence. Hmm. First of all, they don't define evidence. Okay. Uh, and so also, they don't make them possible parameters to reach, unfortunately, because like I did document my own abductions while they were happening for years. I would film them while they were like when they came into the neighborhood. I would film them, and then I would take pictures of what I was filming, so I have kind of a way to check consistency. And then I would have the experience. I would have the two little marks on my hand that I always have when they're in the neighborhood, and then I would go outside and I would see the ground marks, the impressions where they landed on the ground. I would take pictures of those, and then sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I would have waking conscious experiences, and none of them took place inside my bedroom, right? And uh, I don't doubt my own sanity or my own reality, because intelligence is the measure of how you process reality. I hate to break it to you, babies, but that's what intelligence is. And the higher your intelligence, the better you are at processing reality. So, with respect, I'm better at processing reality than you are, Dan, because I'm more intelligent. And not only am I more intelligent, but I'm more intelligent in the fields that matter when it comes to this particular phenomenon, and you are not. Okay. And I stand by that. I try my best to give all information, full disclosure, pretty, scary, whatever it is, I give it to you. And I tried to create an unbroken chain of evidence. That was the only thing I could think of to do as an repeated abduction survivor is, okay, when I see them, I'm going to film it beforehand. I'm going to take pictures of what I filmed. Then, if I have experiences, then I'm going to try my best to remember them while I'm in the moment. And I would coach myself that if this happens, remember everything, you know? And then when I would wake up with repeated signs of marks on my hand, and then marks in the yard, and then that unique feeling of what I call the abduction hangover. And then I also have conscious memories, and I have I can describe things, and all of these things happen in a way that makes sense according to time. Okay. That they all make chronological sense. That, you know, and the fact that this is dismissed or overlooked is another indictment of their lack. It's a lack of curiosity, because they don't want it to be true. They don't want to have to change their methods. They don't want to have to, uh, you know, they want to sit and wait for a mainstream peer reviewed consensus, right? And when people say that kind of thing, what they're doing is they're confusing science with a democracy. And truth is not decided by a show of hands, a political vote, a university committee. It is not dictated by subscribers or views or likes, sir. More people agreeing with you does not make you right. In fact, it kind of argues against you, because average mediocre people are the middle of the bell curve. Smart people are at the end. Very low percentage. That's why you have 670,000 subscribers and I have 1,000. Yeah, I'll take my 1,000 over the 670,000 mouth breathers that you have. I'll take mine. I'm happy with that. But if a scientist in 1900 waited for a consensus before studying radiation, the consensus would have told them it was impossible. When a UAP maneuvers at Mach 20 in front of military sensors, that physical event happened. Its reality does not depend on whether a journal board has signed off on it. Nature does not care about Dance peer review. Hiding behind institutional consensus is defending the scientific establishment over the actual search for truth. And then I believe I've heard you make this argument as well. Correct me if you haven't made it. And if you haven't made it now, you will because you are that predictable. But to say the vast distances of space make interstellar travel completely impossible. Congratulations, Dan. You have discovered how they're not doing it. Good job. Right? So saying the super advanced species, they're going to do it like we do it. I mean, we're as smart as someone more advanced. Either you're as smart or you're not. Either they're advanced or we're advanced. We're not advanced. We're remedial. And that is what these UFO sightings and honestly your uneducated opinion prove is that they're smarter than us, obviously. So, uh, how do you so what you do is you use this deeply flawed anthropocentric arrogance that you're assuming an advanced intelligence hundreds thousands of years older than us would be bound by the same technological ceilings that we have. You're imagining, and I just want to make sure that I'm understanding here after seeing that these beings, these UFOs, they don't have any flight characteristics that we can identify as human. They have no exhaust ports. Most of the time, they have no rivets, no seams, and they have nothing that is in common with anything remotely human manufactured. But you think that that craft that is built that way is doing it the way we do it with rockets, burning fuel inside of a metal box to go that way? That's what you think they're doing. You know what that's like? That's like a caveman who communicates by smoke signals, saying that because you can't see my smoke signals from far away, that um, international communication is impossible, right? You're telling me that there's no way to get fast. You ride a bicycle, you've never seen a car, and you think that a bicycle is the fastest way across town when a car will beat you every time, right? So we are the bicycle, they're the car, if that analogy helps you at all. Okay. But we already understand from theoretical physics that space time is malleable. I mean, if you compress space time in front of you and expand it behind you, you kind of surf that wave, right? And the fact that we don't know how they do it is yet another evidence of their technological superiority, our technological inferiority, and thus their existence. You know, and I want to go back to an old chestnut that I have. Hold on, let me get another drink here. And by the way, I'm checking out the comments. Thanks for the love, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone's likes, and I hope this is a much calmer experience than the last live. And I apologize to my subscribers too. You know, I wasn't setting a good example, and I needed to straighten myself out, have a talk with myself, and say, you know what, we need to focus on this. This is if it's worthy of my time, then it's worthy of my focus as well. And so I'm going to be treating it that way from this point forward, which makes me your worst nightmare, Dan. Your worst nightmare. I have everything you don't: experience, education, and investigative and research experience. Soup to nuts, head to toe, back and forth, up and down, backwards and forwards, side to side. I got you. Why in the world would you be the kind of person to deny someone's experience without ever asking them a single question? You have my email. We've talked before. You have shown zero curiosity about my story, about why I'm so convinced. If you know I believe what I'm saying, you aren't the least bit curious as to why I believe it, huh? Hmm. Again, what a scientist you are. Now, this old chestnut, and this is for you, Dan. And this comes right out of my book, Cosmic Blind Spot: Why Neil deGrasse Tyson's Wrong About USOs. Comes right out of it. In the 1600s, the 17th century, Dan, you would have been a lightning denier. Hmm? Now we have spectrographs. We we can test the electrical output in the air. We can do all those things. We can prove lightning. But back in the 1600s, like say 1650, you would have been a lightning denier. If you hadn't seen lightning, you would have denied its existence. Because what are we talking about with lightning? We're talking about an unpredictable. We're talking about something that occurs in the sky. It's unpredictable. We can't catch it. We can't put it in a bottle. I can't bring you a lightning sample, right, or anything like that. And um, so, what would we go on? Well, we'd have to say, okay, process of elimination. And so, the same thing that you're doing with alien abductions now and UFO sightings is the same thing that would have made you deny lightning in the 17th century. Let me give you an example. So you say, "Well, I've seen I've seen lightning. Yeah, I've seen UFOs. Wow, that's witness testimony. It's unreliable. Well, I have pictures of UFOs. Well, we have drawings of lightning that people made, right? Uh, yeah, that could be faked. That's AI. That's CGI, right? It's AI now. It's AI slop is the new thing, right? Oh, okay. Um, well, fine. We have videos. We can fake videos now too, and just because you see something, you don't know what it is, and but okay, but we have videos of lightning too, right? But we have videos of UFOs. They don't count, right? Then they say, well, lightning has struck the ground. Yeah, well, UFOs have come down and touched down on the planet too, and we have the impressions, and we've had radiation detected. We've had the greenery show anomalous types of growth and differences than the surrounding environment, which seems to be unaffected. Oh yeah, but that doesn't count. Okay. Well, people have been struck by lightning. Yeah, and I've been abducted. How far down the chain do we need to go before you say that tracks? Like, no, all the things that real things do, this is doing, right? And just because I can't bottle a sample of lightning and hand it to you does not mean that lightning does not strike, right? And so that's the same thing here. When they say that UFOs or alien abductions are not proven, they're right. And it's because they've given us no real way to prove it. Do you understand how desperate science is when they're like steal something off the ship and pocket it and bring it to us? Bring it to us where? What lab? You see, they want evidence. They don't tell you what evidence is, how to get evidence, evidence handling protocols, what container to put it in, where to send it, who'll study it, and what they're going to get out of studying it, and what they're going to study it for. They don't know. Dan, you don't know and you don't care. Maybe ChatGPT can help you out on that too, because you're talking to Fat GPT, man, and I've done my homework, lived the life, and I'm also naturally gifted in some of the ways that you are pretending to be an expert, like physics or astronomy, um, or debate. But you would have denied lightning, you know? And here's what I want to know. Your evidentiary standard demands that a phenomenon cannot exist until mainstream science has the tools to fully explain it. This is a lazy investigator blaming the. It is a poor workman who blames the tools. Get better tools. If the tools won't do the job, we need to retool. Don't you think? When you confess that no, we don't have anything that we can really call evidence that you can collect, well, then we need to figure out another way to do this. If you can believe in alien life from a bunch of numbers on a blackboard, then you can certainly be convinced that those same extraterrestrials are here in our face with lots of corroborating data. So let me give you, and I've been going on a while. I have so much more. Believe me when I tell you, the hat goes deeper. But I also have to um, give him, uh, you know, a video of the right link that he can get through, sift through the things that aren't super pertinent, and let him clip these out and respond to them. And Dan, you better respond to them because you're the one that said you'd be happy to talk to me. Your own subscribers want you to debate me, and you have refused. So I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you. Just like with Neil, he refused to debate me. So I just wrote a book debating him anyway. You don't want to meet me face to face. And I know that, but I think you need to explain that to your subscribers because they don't realize that you're insincere. They actually believed you when you said that you would be happy to talk to me about it. They took you at your word, and they're going to be disappointed that you're really just kind of waiting for that to die down so they can forget about it and you can move on. You are only ever good at a one-sided conversation where you can clip things out and make it look a certain way and cut me off 3 words too soon so that you make me look uh, unhinged or crazy or stupid when the truth is I'm none of those things and you're bordering on 2 of them. Okay. So uh, here's what I want to say in closing. You constantly claim that proponents cannot produce what constitutes scientific evidence, while your community refuses to build a single processing center to receive it. If mainstream science wants to know how to separate fact from folklore, the forensic protocol is already right in front of us. We track chronological synchronicity, mapping local radar, independent visual sightings before witness experiences and missing time. We analyze trace environmental anomalies, testing for radiation, uh, chemical sterilization. Uh, we examine biological indicators with people who are witnesses, whether they receive an injury, radiation exposure, where we recover implants from people, we catalog the abduction marks that they receive. Uh, there are tons of evidence to be collected and a way that each one of them can be processed in a way that can exclude humanity from being a participant in the phenomenon. Um, but sleep paralysis, that's dead, man. Stop beating that dead horse because unless you're going to produce some scientific articles, you see, you don't get to spitball. Everything that comes out of your mouth, Dan, had better be backed up by scientific study. So you and ChatGPT are both going to be breaking a sweat answering some of the objections that I make in this video. And the last thing that I would like to ask of you is that how would you prove it if you had been abducted by aliens? And how would you feel knowing that no matter how much evidence you tried to collect, that it was never going to be enough and that people weren't going to believe you? They were going to deny the assault, the kidnapping, and trauma that you endured and then mocked you for it very cruelly. How would you go about proving yourself to people that you have no actual need? The people who are supposed to be trying to prove it for you want you to prove it to them. How would that make you feel? that the victim has to be the investigator, the scientist, the evidence collection person, that we have to forensically analyze and have a PhD and all these things, while you sit back and you sell fake titles and Raycon Ray Buds and talk about the shape of the earth. And you think that you have standing in this conversation with someone who is an abduction, a repeated abduction experience for over 4 decades. This isn't a one and done. I have met these beings several times, awake, standing there in an unfamiliar environment, in waking reality, experiencing ontological shock and trauma while you're sleeping comfortably in your bed. I have researched thousands of abduction cases and UFO sightings, and I have a catalog that would shame the National Library while you're sleeping comfortably in your bed. I've been up until 3 o'clock in the morning working on a science paper, trying to rectify the gap between quantum mechanics and general relativity, and getting a pat on the back from Professor Avi Loeb, producing real scientific work while you're asleep in your bed. I have written 2 bestsellers on this. One of them, uh, Beneath the Haunted Sky, The Evidence for Alien Abduction, briefly became a #1 bestseller in astronomy, kicking Neil deGrasse Tyson out of his #1 spot and putting me there, and the book heavily criticizes him, and correctly so, while you're asleep in your bed. I have an IMDb page. You have a Facebook page. There are levels to this game, and of all of the things that you have gaslit about as far as alien abductions, the biggest thing that you have gaslit everyone on is that you are qualified to even have an opinion. And so I curiously anticipate uh your response to the objections and criticisms that I have raised in this very calm and very measured live stream in front of everyone. Full disclosure is full disclosure, right? And so I hope that you remain healthy, and that your eyes are okay and everything's okay with you, so that you are in good health, and you can within a reasonable time frame respond to this video, because I made it especially for you. And no matter how much I criticized you, it's not personal. These are facts. And sometimes, man, the truth just hurts. Yeah. So I love you guys. This is a new day. And by the way, trolls from now on, nobody jump in, okay? If they come over here and they flame my page or whatever, don't jump in. I mean, Chris, you did kind of savage that guy. I was like, ooh, kitty got claws. But what I would very much like you to do is just take a step back, give them no energy, give them none of your time or your emotional energy. They are vampires. Let me deal with the vampires, because from now on they can't trigger me unless I want to be triggered. And so they get the flat autistic response, and then they get hidden from the channel, never to be seen again. So don't worry. I'm looking out for not just my mental health and but I'm looking out for yours as well. And don't you ever let me hear a scientist denying a real victim's trauma or what they've experienced, because that's what triggered me, Dan. Is you want to say that guy is, oh, he's a member of Mensa, he's a bestseller, this guy functions at a level that you can't, but I'm the delirious one. No curiosity. This is arrogance, and it is fear, and fear makes villains out of men. It makes them do anything to avoid the painful truth. And the painful truth, Dan, is that These beings are smarter than you. Okay? They're smarter than me by like, it's ridiculous. But if they're smarter than me, they're damn smarter than you. And you don't think that it is possible that a species which is thousands of years more technologically, physiologically, and intellectually advanced than you could possibly outsmart you? And maybe there's more to this than uh, a person who sells the privilege to be called my lord or my lady might actually believe or understand. Yeah, I'm not sure. Also, the last thing that I'd like to say before I wrap up is there was one insult from Dan that I absolutely will not tolerate. You insulted my fucking Green Lantern ring, and you can take it back. Because if you don't, I'm going to verbally stick my hand so far up your ass that the next thought you have is going to have to tiptoe past my Green Lantern ring. Beware my power, sir. Green Lantern's light. And I'm out of here. I love you guys. Be good to each other, but don't take any crap from anyone. I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.